They think they know how you'll react. They expect rage. They expect you to shout, to prove them wrong, to fight back in a way they can see and understand. They expect you to break, because that's what most people do. They get angry. They start talking, defending, trying to explain why they're not the failure everyone thinks they are. But real power isn't found in anger. It's found in silence. And that's exactly why they fear it. Why silence is the most terrifying response. You see, when you react, they win. Because now, you're playing their game. They don't care if you scream at them. They don't care if you curse their name. In fact, they love it. Because it means you're still thinking about them. You're still trapped in the past, still emotionally chained to what they did to you. But silence is a void they can't fill. It's a question that haunts them every second. They don't get to know what you're thinking. They don't get to know if they still have power over you. And that will eat them alive. Here's something most people never realize. Control isn't about power. It's about attention. Whoever you focus on owns you. And as long as you're focused on the people who hurt you, they still own a part of your mind. They still control you. But the second you shift your focus, the second you pull your energy away from proving them wrong and redirect it toward making yourself great, you take everything from them. They lose their grip. They lose their power. And they start to realize they never really mattered at all. Let me tell you a story. Two men were betrayed, left broken, humiliated. The first man let his anger consume him. He wanted to make them suffer. He spent years plotting his revenge, waiting for the perfect moment to strike back. And when the day finally came, he took it. For a moment, it felt good. He saw the fear in their eyes. He saw their regret. But then, nothing. Nothing changed. He was still empty. Still lost, because he had spent all that time chasing a battle that wasn't even worth fighting. The second man, he disappeared. No arguments, no outbursts, no reaction. And while they laughed, while they mocked him, he built himself into something they could never touch. He became smarter, stronger, richer. By the time they realized what he had done, it was already too late, because he had already won. And them? They were left wondering, watching, wishing they had never doubted him in the first place. They will regret ever underestimating you. That's the difference between reacting and rising. One keeps you locked in the past. The other turns you into something unstoppable. The truth is, they don't need to be punished. They don't need to suffer. Because the moment they see you rise, the moment they see the life you've built without them, that will haunt them more than any revenge ever could. They will lie awake at night, wondering how they let someone like you slip away. How they were foolish enough to doubt you. How they were stupid enough to think they had any control over your destiny. And you won't even care. Because by then, you'll be too busy living a life they can only dream about. Right now, you have a choice. You can keep reacting. Keep wasting your time on people who never deserved a second of it. Or you can disappear. You can go silent. Cut the noise. And while they're busy waiting for your breakdown, you're building an empire. No distractions, no explanations. Just pure, relentless, unstoppable growth. Because the best revenge, it isn't anger. It isn't proving them wrong. It's making sure they never matter again. There was a man who gave everything and lost it. All he believed in people. He trusted too easily. He worked tirelessly, built himself up from nothing, and shared his victories with those around him. He thought they were proud of him. But the moment he stumbled, the moment things didn't go as planned, they turned on him. The same people who once cheered for him, who clapped for his success, were the first to whisper behind his back. They doubted him, mocked him. Some even celebrated his downfall. He could feel their satisfaction, their twisted enjoyment of his failure. And for a while, he let it consume him. He wanted revenge. He wanted to show them they had made a mistake, never doubting him. But then, he realized something. He was wasting his time. Every second he spent thinking about them was a second he wasn't using to rebuild himself. Every ounce of energy he wasted on proving them wrong was energy that should have been spent making himself unstoppable. So he disappeared. No warnings, no explanations, just silence. And while they sat around waiting for him to return in anger, he was crafting a future they could never touch. They thought they had won. But what they didn't realize was that they had just built a monster. A version of him they would have to face one day. Years later, when they finally heard his name again, he was no longer the man they had doubted. He was bigger, stronger, smarter. While they stayed in the same place, gossiping, waiting, wasting time, he had risen. And suddenly, the doubt they once had, it turned into regret. They wished they had stood by him. They wished they had never taken him for granted. Because now, he was no longer someone they could reach. He was on another level. This isn't just a story. This is your future. One day, you'll walk into a room, and the people who doubted you will be there. And they won't know what to say. They'll remember every word they spoke against you. They'll remember the times they laughed at you, dismissed you, and counted you out. But now they will sit in silence, because you've already won. Not because you fought back, not because you got revenge, but because you became someone so powerful, so untouchable, that their words no longer mattered. The greatest power is to be so far ahead, they can't even see you anymore. And that's the lesson most people never learn. They waste years trying to fight battles that don't matter, trying to win against people who never deserved their energy in the first place. But the truth is, the best way to defeat them is to erase them from your story completely. Because the moment you stop thinking about them, the moment you stop needing their validation, that's the moment you truly win. You are not here to prove them wrong. You are here to prove yourself right. This journey, it was never about them. It was about you, your future, your growth. And the second you realize that, you become unstoppable. Let them doubt. Let them whisper. Let them watch. Because one day when they finally see who you've become, they won't be laughing. They won't be talking. They'll be too busy drowning in their own regret. And that will destroy them more than your revenge ever could. You were never weak. You were always becoming. They mistook your silence for surrender. They thought your patience meant you had lost. But what they didn't realize was that you weren't broken. You were building. Every insult, every doubt, every betrayal, it wasn't breaking you down. It was fueling you. While they wasted time watching you, waiting for your downfall, you were sharpening your mind, strengthening your resolve, learning from every single mistake. And now, you are something they never expected. Now, you are the version of yourself that they cannot touch. They tried to break you, but they built something stronger. Think about it. If they had never doubted you, would you have worked this hard? If they had never abandoned you, would you have learned how to stand on your own? If they had never thrown obstacles in your way, would you have become the fighter you are today? The truth is, they created their own worst nightmare. Because every time they pushed you down, you got back up stronger. Every time they underestimated you, you doubled your efforts. And now, the version of you standing here today, it exists because of them. They wanted to see you fail, but all they did was force you to rise. And that's what they'll never be able to accept. The greatest punishment. They will have to live with their choices. One day they will look back and realize the role they played in your success. They will remember the words they spoke, the moments they turned away, the times they chose to walk against you instead of beside you. And that's when the regret will hit them. Not because they suddenly care about you, but because they now understand. They had the chance to stand with you, but instead, they placed themselves against you. And now they will never get to be part of your success. They will see your name, hear your achievements, watch you from a distance, knowing they could have been a part of your journey. But instead, they became the reason you had to go alone. And that is something they will never be able to change. Right now, there is only one question that matters. What will you do with all this power? You have the wisdom that pain has given you. You have the strength built from your struggles. You have the resilience that they could never break. So what now? Do you go back and show them what they lost? Do you waste another second trying to make them see what you've become? Number, because the moment you do that, you lose again. The real power is to walk away, to leave them wondering, to let them watch from the sidelines while you continue to rise. And you will be too focused on your own empire to even notice them anymore. You are no longer the person they left behind. And that's what scares them the most. They knew how to manipulate the old you. They knew how to make you doubt yourself, how to keep you second-guessing your worth. This version of you, they don't know how to handle you anymore. Because you've stepped into your power. You've realized that you don't need their approval. You don't need their recognition. And now, nothing they do can touch you. They are stuck in the past. You are moving towards the future. This is where you separate yourself. Because while they keep replaying the past, you are writing the future. While they talk, while they gossip, while they watch, you work, you build, you grow. And by the time they wake up and realize what's happening, you will already be too far ahead. This is the moment you stop looking back, the moment you leave the past where it belongs. Because you are not here to fight battles that don't matter. You are here to win the war. And that war, it isn't against them. It's against the person you used to be. One day they will speak your name, and it won't be with laughter. Right now they mock you, they whisper, they doubt. But one day they will say your name, and it will be with respect. Because success has a way of silencing even the loudest voices. When that day comes, you won't even care, because you'll already be too focused on what's next. They thought they could define your worth. They thought they had the power to break you. But the moment you stopped reacting, the moment you refused to fight their meaningless battles, that was the moment you won. Because while they were busy trying to tear you down, you were building something greater than they could ever imagine. And now they sit in silence, watching you rise, knowing they can never reach where you are. Not because they weren't capable, but because they were too busy doubting you while you were too busy working. Do you understand the weight of that? Most people waste their energy trying to prove themselves to those who never mattered. But you didn't give them that satisfaction. You didn't argue. You didn't beg for understanding. You didn't look back. And now, they feel your absence. They feel the space where your energy used to be. They see the void that was once filled with your presence. And it is eating them alive. There is no greater revenge than indifference. Because that's the truth, isn't it? The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. Hate still requires energy. Hate still means you care. But when you no longer care, that's when they lose all their power over you. And that's what destroys them. Not your rage, not your success alone, but the realization that you don't even think about them anymore. They went from being a force in your life to being nothing. And nothing is more painful than knowing you have become irrelevant in someone's story. You were never the enemy. You gave them a choice to stand with you, to believe in you, to grow with you. But they chose differently. They chose to doubt. They chose to betray. And now they have to live with that choice. Because there are no second chances here. The road you are walking now, it's too far ahead for them to ever catch up. You have two choices right now. Right here, in this moment, you stand at a crossroads. You can waste your time thinking about them. You can let anger consume you. You can let their words haunt you. Or you can rise. You can put all of that energy into becoming the version of yourself that even you never thought possible. You can take everything they tried to use against you and forge it into something untouchable. You can become a force that no one can deny. Most people never make it past this point. This is where most people get stuck. They hold on to the past. They replay old conversations. They keep waiting for the moment where they finally get to say, "I told you so." But you are not most people. You don't have time to prove them wrong. Because you're too busy proving yourself right. And one day, you will look back at this moment and realize they were never the real obstacle. you were. And the second you decided to stop holding yourself back, that was the second your life changed forever. Your future has no room for their doubt. Close the door. Leave the past behind. They do not belong in the future you are building. They will hear of you. They will see your name. But they will never stand beside you again. Because you are moving forward. You are rising. And you will never lower yourself to their level again. They thought they could control your story. They thought they could decide how this ends. But what they didn't realize is, this is only the beginning. Your story is not over. It has just begun. If you're ready to take back your power, subscribe for more. Like, share this video. Because this is not just a message. This is a movement. A movement for those who refuse to be defined by doubt. A movement for those who choose to rise instead of react. If you're ready to break free, to level up, to turn your pain into your greatest weapon, then you already know what to do. Subscribe. Join the movement. Because this is not the end of your story. This is just the beginning.